Acting in films involve a lot of factors. Actors are expected to feel the supposed emotion or energy for specific scenes in order to keep or better the mood of the film.
Tight, yeah!
One small awkward mistake is capable of ruining or improving the mood of one scene, if not the whole film.
My name is Jeff.
A good example would be the infamous
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
from the 2003 film The Room. This scene didn't exactly ruin the whole film, but it did put the audience off by the time it was released. It did actually become a meme of some sort because of its awkward delivery, in which turned out to be good publicity. But that didn't happen up until 2010, where the film got famous again. The delivery of the line was stale and awkward, which makes it interesting. How do awkward mistakes that could have potentially ruined important factors like mood and tension go unnoticed? Or, better yet, how can awkward actors pull it off?
Pizza time.
An actor's performance on a film will help determine what the audience will think about the character they play. Whether this character already has a predetermined personality from their hard copy counterpart or a new addition to the film. There's a lot of films where actors played characters that just didn't match the energy they were supposed to provide, like Jared Leto's Joker in the 2016 Suicide Squad. While the whole movie did flop, Jared Leto's Joker was heavily over the top. He wasn't playing as the Joker, he was playing some random dude who wants to be the Joker. It's also not helping how the direction the Joker was played, as it was too gangster or too hip. Well, this isn't exactly his fault entirely, since the whole movie had a lot of flaws to begin with. And a lot of people compared his Joker to Heath Ledger's Joker, which, in my opinion, is a huge unfair comparison. Also, huge disclaimer, I'm not slandering or hating these actors, it's the exact opposite. Because it's amazing how they can manage to pull a scene off despite the mismatched energy or an off-putting way of line delivery, or just straight up their way of acting in films and movies. Being awkward in films isn't exactly a bad thing.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
In fact, there are films where the actor's delivery should be awkward in order to make the scene, if not the whole film, to work.
Regenerate?
Let's take the film Nobody and why the delivery of Bob Odenkirk,
Give me the goddamn kitty cat bracelet, motherfucker!
better known as Saul Goodman in the series Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. The plot of the film is about a man who lives a normal life, normal job, normal family, and normal problems. To most, he's average, but to some, he's a nobody. His awkward delivery in a very serious action film made it more immersive, and it was needed to make the audience think that this character would be just some random average person who on the outside would look like a total wimp, but in reality he's someone that can kick some serious ass. He's a quote-unquote nobody who has a past of violence and a very particular set of skills in Kung Fu. Who would have thought that this nobody would be someone so dangerous? Now this is where we compare, because this is not the only film with practically the same plot idea. Let's put the franchise The Equalizer and Denzel Washington's delivery. Once again, same plot, violent past, lives a normal life, but due to circumstances he has to pick up arms again. And yet his delivery wasn't the same as Bob Odenkirk. Denzel Washington's acting was serious and mysterious, and from the perspective of the audience, we already know that this guy is capable of doing some serious damage at first glance. Nobody needed the energy or vibes of one of the main characters to be awkward to sell the idea of a very skilled person hidden within a normal average guy. While in the Equalizer franchise, it was to portray that Denzel Washington's character was already a dangerous action machine from the get-go. It's a perfect opportunity to cast Bob Odenkirk in Nobody because his acting as a whole never fitted the action genre to begin with, and with the use of his awkwardness, he managed to pull it off. And that's the delivery of awkwardness in films. So, how about the actors? Ryan Gosling has multiple films. His acting at the very least is, well, awkward. But that's the thing. That's the roles he chooses to take. His awkward way of acting perfectly fits the roles he had in Blade Runner, Drive, and most funnily enough, Barbie. However, in these three, the perfect one to use as an example would be the film Drive. In Barbie and Blade Runner, he had every right to be awkward in that film. As Ken travels the real world, he would obviously be weird and awkward since Barbie Land is very different to the real world. In Blade Runner, he is a literal robot synthetic, but in Drive, he plays the silent getaway driver who we have zero information about. We don't know his past or anything, all we know is he drives. And he's really good, think of it as the early 2000s Baby Driver. Nearly every interaction Ryan Gosling had in this film felt so awkward, and even some of his actions and gestures just felt way too off. But why? The film lacks so much information that the audience just unconsciously deemed everything that's happening is normal. If we were to compare the hard copy counterpart of the film, the book Drive by James Salis, the character that Ryan Gosling played were polar opposites. In the book, the character was more talkative and expressive, and how Ryan pulled it off is, well, because he's Ryan Gosling. While Ryan Gosling managed to make it work because he chooses the role that fits his acting style, Keanu Reeves has a different approach. Keanu Reeves has been a beloved figure in the acting scene ever since his work in the film Speed and The Matrix. He has a plethora of film genres he played in that ranges from romance, action, and comedy. However, his way of acting has always been simple and monotone. Chad Stahelski, the director of the John Wick franchise, had to work around these aspects of Keanu Reeves, and he managed to make 4 successful John Wick films and a 5th one in the making. The John Wick franchise brought back Keanu Reeves back to mainstream media at the time it was released in 2014. The film he was in before that did well was Constantine, and that was back in 2005. If you watch his interviews and the way he talks and expresses himself, you could unironically call him enthusiastically stale, and that's never a bad thing. Everyone in the world has a different way of expressing themselves, and how he talks in interviews doesn't seem fake at all, it actually feels more genuine. Maybe that's how he really is, which makes him approachable and grounded. This might even be one of the reasons why he's deemed to be one of the nicest celebrities there are. Also, fun fact, there's a website about Keanu Reeves being a vampire because he looks as if he never ages. Check it out, it's a pretty fun read actually. Back to awkward actors, there are a lot who are professionals or are straight up specializing in being awkward, nerdy, geeky, or a wimp in films. And a lot of it has to do with their mannerisms, appearance, and voice, and yet we never expected that there are in fact actors out there who doesn't look like a total dork but are actual really huge nerds. Celebrities being awkward both in films and in real life isn't necessarily a bad thing, but in fact, fans love their awkward dork of a celebrity. It makes them humble that despite the good looks, cool voice, and nonchalant demeanor, they are still as imperfect as humanly possible, other than the fact that they won the genetic lottery of being way above average in terms of look. They are still in fact human, believe it or not. Being awkward isn't necessarily a disadvantage, it mostly happens due to the mismatch of needed energy or mood in the situation. But in films, there are a lot more factors included since films and movies aren't real life but entertainment. And in order for it to be entertaining, a perfect use of delivery, the right use of vocabulary, and the right tone and expression from the actor. It doesn't really matter on which celebrity gets to act, it's always on how they should act. In certain films, there are actors who's really good in comedy but also has talent for gritty films, but that's called range, and that's a different medium of acting. In conclusion, no matter how perfectly perfect you are in terms of looks and characteristics, there are times, especially at this age, that imperfections can also be a positive thing.
Wabi Sabi is an Eastern tradition, Dad. It's celebrating the beauty in what's flawed, like the crack in the Liberty Bell or the mole on Cindy Crawford's face.
The Liberty Bell is great, but come on, if it was in a contest with a bunch of bells without cracks, it would lose.
But sometimes it's the small imperfections that make you love something even more. So what if this rose is a little too short, a little too wide? It's got more personality than those other ones.